Y'all, I love talking about what's happening at LSU. I love the drama in women's basketball right now. But what I love more than that is what's happening in the business of women's basketball. I want to talk about five of the top NIL endorsement divas on the planet right now in Division One college women's basketball. Y'all ready to do this? Let's talk about who's getting that bag. Let's talk about what can influence people getting the bag. We left some folks off the list because we're only talking about five today, or otherwise this would be a 2 hour long presentation. But let's talk about how the landscape has changed and what is good about what's happening in women's basketball right now. Y'all know I've said it many times. Listen, back in the day when I was playing at the University of Texas, we didn't have NIL. I mean, we were rubbing two pennies together. Me and my teammates to go across the street to Taco Bell to get a breakfast check. I'm just going to keep it a buck. That's what was happening at the University of Texas for me. Nobody was giving me money under the table because my institution was like not playing about being ineligible, not one bit. And I think it was that way for a lot of institutions back in the day. We just took our opportunities very, very seriously, and you didn't want to screw anything up. But let me tell y'all something. If I had had an NIL deal, you know what? That's a video for another day. Let's talk about the young women right now who are getting that bag and how they're doing it. All right, let's talk. Number 5 is Cameron Brink at Stanford University. You guys may remember Cameron Brink. She has pretty much had a kind of a quiet career over at Stanford. Post player, nice game, nothing outstanding until this year. Cameron Brink has awakened from the dead. I mean, legit. Cameron Brink is a bona fide baller. I have never seen a player go from very demure, very low key to bam. That's what Cameron Brink is doing. So a couple of games I've seen Stanford play this year, Cameron Brink was rebounding, blocking shots. Her footwork has become something of legends. We're talking about footwork up there with some folks y'all will not know unless you've been around the game for a long time, but we're talking about Lisa Ingram, Jennifer Gillum. Y'all don't know nothing about that. These are players back in the 80s. Footwork was colossal, unbelievable. More latter day post players. I mean, I'll even go with Candace Parker. Candace has great footwork on the post. You're talking about players who mastered the art of dancing on the block, who could get around defenders, who could give you the and one, who had a nice jumper. These are players from 40 years of college women's basketball who've really redefined the post position. And I'm seeing Cameron Brink do that, right? She got a slight build. She's not bulky, but she's quick around the basket. She's developed her mid-range game. She's developed her outside shot. She can shoot the three. So she is one of those three-way. People talk about two-way players. I'm talking about Cameron Brink as a three-way, four-way, five-way player. I'm excited, as y'all can tell, because I love to see the year-to-year development of players. Sometimes you get players coming in and you're like, you didn't get any better over the summer. What did you do in the offseason? You did not get any better. That is not the case for my girl, Cameron Brink at Stanford University. She's doing it big out there. She's improved her game. And I don't know if the money has influenced players to get better because now you're kind of like a professional, but I like it. I like what I'm seeing with these players who are getting better every single year. Cameron Brink, let's talk about her NIL. These numbers change daily, just listen to that. So you may be looking at a list, depending on when you're seeing this video, these numbers have changed, all right? So Cameron Brink right now is $360,000. She's got a deal with New Balance. First women's basketball player signed with New Balance, the sneaker brand, apparel brand. She's the first one, certainly the first one at Stanford to get that kind of a deal. Buick, I don't know if Cameron Brink is driving a Buick around the campus of Stanford, but Buick is obviously trying to get younger in their demographic, but they signed Cameron Brink. And then Urban Outfitters, nice package. Cameron Brink is going to continue to get more deals for a couple of reasons. Number one, she's an All-American girl, right? Got the two braids. She is, we used to call in the business when I was in television with ESPN and advertising, we would talk about advertising with other companies in my own company. We would talk about whether somebody was friendly, market friendly. Cameron Brink is market friendly. That could be code for white. Let's keep it a buck here, right? But you got a player who is doing well on the court. You got a player who we assume is doing well in the classroom. Nice package. Brands want to be associated with Cameron Brink. Let's move it on to Paige Buckets. Some people call her Paige Beckers because that's her real name. Paige Beckers, as y'all know, was out from UConn last year with her ACL and is back. Unfortunately, AZ Fudd is not in the mix with her for partner in crime, but Paige Bueckers, Paige Beckers is a bona fide star, and we will see how she is able to take UConn to the next level without them being fully loaded. So Paige Beckers, as you know, pretty slight build guard who can really shoot the ball, never comes out of the game. And is a player who can take you off the bounce, can shoot the mid range, can shoot the floater. Very unselfish, but definitely takes her position as leader and scorer on the UConn Huskies team very, very seriously. So while I love players who are unselfish, there's no doubt about it that Paige Beckers knows that she has to score and do her thing offensively for UConn to be a force out there. Paige Beckers' NIL deals are vast. She's got to deal with Nike. She's got to deal with Crocs. I don't get people's fascination with Crocs, but maybe y'all can tell me in the comments how y'all feel about Crocs. Do y'all like Crocs? Do y'all have a pair of Crocs? Tell me what I need to do. I'm thinking about getting some for Christmas. So tell me, I digress. Y'all tell me about your Crocs if you got some. But Paige Beckers obviously loves them. When I was playing basketball in the 80s, 90s, we would have, we would call them slides. Well, they call them slides now. They're soccer sandals. Ultimately, they're soccer sandals. Y'all have seen every athlete in the world wears these soccer sandals. We've been wearing those for 30, 40 years, right? But now Crocs are taking over. I'm seeing my nieces and nephews who are teenagers who are wearing Crocs, and they're designing them, and they're putting little emblems inside them. I don't get the fascination with Crocs, but obviously Paige Buckets does, and she has to deal with Crocs. Bose, which is a speaker, a media company. Obviously, you never see athletes without something on their ears or in their ears. And Paige Beckers is certainly somebody who loves music. Athletes, you travel a lot on planes, trains, and automobiles, and the subways. You want to tune out the world. You got stuff on your ears. Bose is a great choice. Let me ask y'all this about Bose, because I'm literally about to buy some new headphones. Bose, Beats, or iPods. What do y'all think? Bose, Beats, or iPod? Or somebody's going to throw something. Oh, forget all of those. Why don't you get these? Okay, I'll take all suggestions. I'm about to upgrade because low-key I keep losing my iPods. Maybe I should think about something else, but that's not the point. If you got a recommendation, Bose, Beats, or iPods. What do y'all think? All right, let's move on. Next on the list is Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark will have to wait. I've got to answer my phone. All right, we're back. Caitlyn Clark, number 3 on the list. Again, remember, these are not ranked because there are a lot of players. You got a lot of players who are getting deals. I just picked 5 so we didn't have to be here all day that you might recognize and to talk about the uniqueness of those deals. So Caitlyn Clark, we all know her, the sharpshooting guard, Miss Everything at Iowa, who's killing the game over there. Caitlyn Clark just signed a deal with State Farm. You guys know State Farm is the Jake guy, the red brand, the insurance thing, whatever. Caitlyn Clark, that's a huge deal. I don't know what her deal was. I've seen conflicting amounts of that deal. So I'll just say I'll encompass it in all the $850,000. But State Farm is a huge deal. We know that I think Sabrina Ionescu, we go on the NBA side, Chris Paul. Is Chris Paul? That's the agent. Chris, CP3, whoever, can't think of his name right now. Maybe that's Chris Paul. Okay, yeah, there we go. So we got her, we got Nike, we got H&R Block, which this is interesting. Nike doesn't surprise anybody, right? Student athletes are always going to have sneaker deals. But what I thought was really interesting on Caitlyn's list of deals is H&R Block. Here's what I love about the NIL game. Brands used to just literally try to get their names on the backs of professional athletes because they had the most influence. What we're seeing now, I didn't even put the social media followings of these players, of these athletes up there. You're seeing million person followings for these athletes. And now brands want to attach earlier, right? They don't wait until you're out of college. They don't wait until you go to the pros. If you go to the pros, they can start to get some traction with 15, 16, 17-year-olds, whoever the people are who are following these young women in college. Now you get your brand in front of them earlier. It's crazy. I love it. I mean, this is the stuff that I geek out on because I'm a businesswoman, but I love the fact that now you're seeing these, brands that usually come later in life for all of us, right? Nobody tried to mess with me or with the credit card until I was in college, right? Now these brands get to be in front of, as I said, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Good or bad, that's not the point. The point is it's a wild, wild west out here in NIL, and these players are getting to reap some of the benefits. So Caitlyn Clark, $850,000, and we know this is going to continue to go. Because these are people who are at the height of their game. We don't know if Caitlyn's going to the WNBA, but we know right now all eyes are on her. All right, next one. Number 2, Flau'Jae, probably the littiest on the list for sure. Flau'Jae is a $1.2 million. She signed a record deal with Jay-Z. For those of y'all who don't know Jay-Z, who Jay-Z is, look him up. A lot of people say he's Beyonce's husband, but Jay-Z was Jay-Z before he was Beyonce's husband. But I digress. She signed a deal with Jay-Z's Rock Nation. She's also signed a deal with Puma. Y'all remember when it felt like Puma was literally going to fall off the earth, and then Serena Williams signed a deal with Puma, kind of got them back in the space. Now Puma is back. In fact, I think a lot of these athletes are going to save some brands. That's another video I got to do. Which brands have been saved by athletes? Okay, Puma. Flau'Jae signed with Puma. Obviously, Flau'Jae was out for a second with LSU. Is back. You know, my belief in terms of her game is that, I mean, she's got some place to go in terms of the development of her game, but obviously plays hard for Coach Kim Mulkey, plays hard for her team as a team player based on what I know. Not getting into the drama about the mamas right now. We're talking about NIL and also Taco Bell. So Flau'Jae has a big future for her. Again, you've heard people say this before. Some of these people should stay in college because they could literally fall off the map if they don't make it into the WNBA. If I got a daughter and I'm looking at her and she's not like a top 5, she's in that middle pack, I'm saying, you got one more year of basketball. Let's go ahead and stack some bread. Let's go ahead and stack a little bit more bread, and then we'll see what happens after that. These are the conversations these young athletes need to be having, because the money looks good, but brands are only attaching themselves to you because you have the audience. Will that audience follow you to the next level? We don't know. All right. Finally, number 1, no surprise. She's in the news right now. She's all over the YouTube feed. Her SEO, her search engine optimization numbers are off the charts because y'all are keeping it there. If I've seen 300 videos about Angel Reese, I'm like, I love this. SEO off the chart. Angel Reese at the top of the list, 1.5 million. And I think this is going to continue to grow. What y'all don't realize is that, listen, we're talking about Angel Reese in a positive and a negative light. Some folks are. And this is helping her case. As long as Angel Reese is not involved in some bad deal, as long as Angel Reese is not doing something that's going to technically hurt her brand, drugs, alcohol, crime, she's golden. Like that's what a lot of people don't realize. I see a lot of angst out there, and I see a lot of people say, "Oh, she should do this, she should do this, whatever." I'm like, unless Angel Reese is doing something bad, her numbers are going to climb. And here's a little insight for us, for all of us. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in what's being said online. But what I'm seeing as I read all these stories and look at all these videos, all these news tickers about Angel Reese, is that this is building her bag. Angel is a smart young woman. Now, I'm not saying she's not involved I'm not saying I don't know what her grades are. None of us knows what's going on inside the LSU program. But I can tell you this, Angel is smart enough to understand that if she is at the top of the search engine for the last 3 weeks, that's building her bag. No question. I hope her team have put some really great breadcrumb stuff in place with all this searching for her name and literally absorbing all the content on her brand. They need to be monetizing that traffic. But I digress. Let's talk about the 1.5 mil. Angel Reese at the top of the list. And, depending on what's going on in her life, she will continue to soar. She will continue to be at the top of the list. Number 1, people as in brands love brands who are not afraid to be who they are. And from the beginning, Angel Reese has said, I'm not afraid to be who I am. That doesn't mean that the 22-year-old or whatever she is, that doesn't mean she is not having a difficult time. That doesn't mean that she's taking all this. It doesn't mean any of that. But what I love is that she didn't come out of the gate trying to be somebody else. And the fact that she didn't come out of the gate trying to be somebody else has made her 1.5 million minimum. Reebok signed on with Shaq and Allen Iverson. That's a huge deal because I guarantee you, Shaq is also putting her in a position to have ownership of Reebok. He's not just signing her to a deal. I guarantee you, Angel's going to have shares in Reebok. We can talk about all of that later. We got to see beyond the dollar sign. Airbnb, nice, real nice, because that's not one of those deals that we see a whole lot. Tampax, obviously, young women will menstruate Young women have to be willing to put their name on brands. And we're in a different society now. Like when I was growing up, nobody talked about your menstrual period. Nobody wanted to hear about it. It was like one of those things we had been we have been influenced to believe was like, oh, don't talk about that. But it's a natural thing. We don't get here unless a woman menstruates. Nobody listening to me right now, watching this video, got here without a menstruating woman. Let's be real. So there are more of those deals that I'm hoping we will see for young women, as well as we normalize the things that are normal for our bodies, both men and women. And there you have it, the top five, not necessarily in order in terms of what's in the marketplace, but five of the top NIL earners in women's basketball: Cameron Brink, Paige Beckers, Caitlyn Clark, Flau'Jae, and Angel Reese. Who do you think should be on the list? Who should I do in the next five? Should I get Haley Van Lift? Who else should I get in this list? I'll put it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.